Call this meeting to order. It's Thursday, November 21st, the Park and Recreation Commission. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from the October meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Unfinished business. Item 2, is there any unfinished business? Nothing there?
And anything unfinished you want to talk about?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, let's,
Move right along.
sure.
New business. Grant activity update. You or Cindy?
Do you
Yeah,
want me to talk about all of them, or?
I'll start with the good news from West Bend EDC, and then Cindy
Okay.
can talk about all the stuff that she's applying for. But the West Bend Economic Development Corporation has been discussing the leftover funds, the funds that they have in their system that they don't have a specific purpose for a long time, for a couple of years now. And they know, and many of the groups, the community groups and the city included, knew of those funds. They made it not public, and I serve on that group, and so does the mayor and now acting mayor. Steve Hugister got to attend his first meeting of that group as well this past week. They had a process that they started about 6 months or so ago regarding the making application for those funds, and the city did that. And then they had a refined process where they asked for 100 words. It was kind of a unique opportunity to try to craft only 100 words about your specific ask. And we had a team of Cindy and myself and some of the community development folks together in a room drafting those words for the Riverwalk. We're successful. Happy to report that $250,000 was awarded to the Riverwalk, which is a significant amount, and it's 5% of the entire project if it comes in at $5 million. So that's definitely good news. In the further good news department, West Bend EDC also has granted $150,000. Prudy Pick really led the charge on that one. She and her team crafted the 100 words for that ask, and she helped foster that. Her original ask was only $50,000, and as other groups didn't need as much money, she increased her ask and was successful to get $150,000 awarded. So $400,000 awarded to 2 city park projects. Definitely big news. So thanks to West Bend Economic Development Corporation. Kirk Emmerich is the president of that group, and we're very appreciative of those funds. Of course, both of those funding awards are assuming and conditioned upon a project moving forward. So they know that the next part of this conversation is Cindy talking about the other grant opportunities that are out there and things that she's working on, and the funding that we already have in place is all going to go into this same pot to try to get to the $5 million goal of building this thing.
Is there a timeline on when it's gotta be started?
Not the 2 of 50 wasn't conditioned with a timeline.
Okay.
I shared with them our timeline of utilities 2020, construction 2021, and 2022. So that our hope for that timeline certainly met with what they were willing to agree to.
Okay.
Grants. Okay, so keeping in mind this project is estimated to cost $5 million, we're going after a lot of different things that we can. The state of Wisconsin had, this is a one-shot grant. It's called the Multimodal Local Supplement Grant, due December 6th. There's $75 million out there for the state of Wisconsin. It's broken down into a category for towns, one for cities and villages, and one for counties. And the city-village portion of this, they will award just over $19 million. The categories that they're allowing to be applied for this grant are bridges, roads, transit vehicle, purchase and facility projects, bike and ped projects, and railroads and harbors. So the grants are due December 6th. The minimum project cost is $250,000. The maximum award is $3.5 million. It's a 90%, 10% split, so they would award 90%, and then you have to come up with a 10% match. The problem is if you get this award, you can't have any other state or federal money allocated to this project. So we're gonna be putting the whole project in there. If you take out the things that are not allowed, which are utilities, any of our acquisitions, the stuff, the design engineering, we can get that cost down to $4 million. Which would give us, if they awarded the whole thing, $3.6 million, but $3.5 million, but we'll see what that happens. So the problem is, we're not gonna find out about this probably within 3 months of the grant due date, so we have to also go after other grants, even though we might get this one. If we do, we won't need to apply for anything else. But the other one we're gonna be going after is another DOT grant. It's called a TAP grant, Transportation Alternatives Program. The maximum project costs you should apply for are $2 million. So we would need to divide the project up into 2 sections. The money for this grant is not gonna be available till July of 2022. So what we would do is divide the project up into 2 chunks, apply now for the second chunk, which would be probably the northern portion of the Riverwalk, which we wouldn't start probably till 2022 anyway. That grant is due January 24th, that's an 80-20% grant match. We will be applying for DNR stewardship grants, which are due May 1st, because we probably won't find out about the other ones, or I start working on those before we find out about the other ones. And we've been advised to split the project into 2 parts and apply for 1 chunk in this year for next year, and then apply next year for 2022. So I'll be doing that one too. The maximum award's probably gonna be around $500,000 for that, for each application, because they only have $1 million, so. We've also, I sent an update on the project to Fund for Lake Michigan. Remember, they gave us $100,000 towards design, but they're interested in, they said they would be open to granting money for construction also. And they, according to their website, they award between $750,000 and $1 million every quarter that they have grants for. We're also gonna be applying for that grant for the playground. That's due December 1st, and I think the grant, the recommendation is to apply for between $10,000 and $25,000. That would be for design of the playground. And I wanted to let you know, remember where I applied for the urban forestry grant? We got that last year and the year before. We did not get awarded that this year. I was told by the DNR that we were right on the line for getting funded, but they had a lot of applications for catastrophic storm events, damage, and that took $105,000 out of their pot of money, so they couldn't award everything. So that's all of my grants.
If you get a 90-10, can you use other grant money to pay your 10, or?
No, it has to
So
be
even if it's not a
local.
federal or anything, you still can't?
You can't use federal or state, but we could go after, the Fund for Lake Michigan is not either, so that would be, something we could use, but.
If you get a 90-10, that'll be a good problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
They also ask you if you would accept less than your 90% towards the grant, and I would check yes, because if we can get like 2 million or 2.5 million instead of 3.5 million, that would be wonderful.
Do they still have the same stipulation then? If they
Yeah,
only give you like
Yes.
2 million instead of 3,
So-
you still can't apply for
right,
the
so if
state,
we would
right?
get like $500,000, we'd have to think hard and fast about whether we
Yeah,
would accept that. Then you
yeah.
could just not take the award and go after the other stuff,
Right.
see what you get awarded for the other grants. I don't know how long they give you to either decide yes or no after they announce the awards. They haven't said anything about that yet, so. You get 1 page to make a narrative description of your whole project and make your case, which isn't much. So,
That MLS program is supplemental funding that was put into the state budget for the biennial period just one time. So it's gonna be pretty competitive money, but we'll give it our best shot. I should also mention the West Bend EDC money, that I didn't say the total amount that we received, and we're lucky to receive 400,000. They only had just under 500,000, so we received the bulk of the money that was available. They really wanted to make a and impact into long-lasting projects within West Bend. That was part of their criteria. So our asks fit well. The theater also received, the West Bend Historic Theater received $50,000, and MOA received $25,000 for their gardens. But our two projects were the bulk of
Wow.
what were funded.
I should have said earlier too, we have a quorum. Mike and Mike are absent, but excused. Riverwalk presentation at State Public Works Conference.
2 weeks ago, Mike Yench and myself had the opportunity to attend the Wisconsin Park and Rec Conference held in Wisconsin Dells at the Kalahari Resort Convention Center. We had the opportunity to attend breakout sessions, listen to speakers, attend a trade show. Some of the highlights were a session titled Creating or Fixing a Sponsorship, session focused on the moving parts when navigating through and securing a corporate sponsor for a public event, making sure that there's a return in value while not over corporatizing your event, to make sure that you get that nostalgia feel that people are seeking when they sign up for a park and rec program or attend an event in the park. Another session titled My Job, Supervisor, Parent, Guidance Counselor, Life Coach. This session kind of focused on the discussion and dialogue was those unique situations, incidents, circumstances that can occur. And then basically we talked about the corrective measures that were taken. Were they successful? Were they not successful? Then of course you get that connection, that professional connection with individuals. So if a similar situation happens in West Bend, I can pick up the phone, call someone, and we can share information, useful information, back and forth when, like I said, those rare, unique situations occur. Also, there's a very large trade show, so there's lots of vendors from throughout the Midwest that are selling park and rec supplies, equipment, necessities. Was able to connect face-to-face communication with a sales rep from a sport court company that has give us an estimate on the dance floor for the Library Rec Center dance studio. Networking with colleagues, of course. There was a UW Lacrosse Alumni Association gathering, so that was fun. Reconnecting with friends, depending on where they work within the state, sometimes the conference is the only time that you get to see them and catch up with them. So that's pretty much the conference in a nutshell. If you have any questions, Mike may have something to add.
Apply for any grants while you were there?
Did not apply for any grants.
No grant application booths at the trade show. Actually, one kind of interesting discussion I was part of was the use of drones in park systems, things like that. What are people using them for? With some of the storms we had earlier this year in July, northeastern part of the United States, northeastern part of the state, a lot of the different organizations were using drones up there because these areas were just completely closed off, no road access, no electricity. So how do you even gain access to fire departments, things like that, to do surveys and try and determine, what's going on. So it was kind of something I was thinking it would have been nice for me even this year, even our Riverwalk here. I'm waiting always for the water to go down to determine if we have damage to bridges and all that. If I could just get a hold of someone with a drone and we could fly that, and we have that access here right at City Hall. I mean, that was something I never thought of because I'm not going out there in chest waders and there I go. So, and then I also mentioned that the USDA is going to be using drones on our properties this December to do deer surveys. And a lot of people thought that was pretty cool with the infrared and all that stuff. So just different management tools with drones. People think drones, hey, you can fly them around, cool pictures, video, but, some work-related items. So, yeah, it was kind of good. So,
Valuable experience going to those things.
yeah.
Any other questions? And conference recap?
So we kind of swapped those two.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I'll introduce the Public Works Conference.
Oh, okay.
Cindy was invited to present, which was pretty exciting.
I gave it to Jay to do that work.
The Riverwalk project that Mike Court and his team suggested, nominated to the Public Works Conference, and they were selected to present specifically regarding the video that you guys saw for the Riverwalk West showing and how you can use video and 3D in projects, and they did a really nice job. Our part of the presentation was to share the West Bend experience and what that video has meant to the project and to the city of West Bend, and to generate excitement for the Riverwalk West. And it was easy to tell that story because it has been exciting, and it has been a successful experience on the east side. So the video captures all the east side stuff that's done already, and then the west side project in the Riverwalk committee, in this very room, the Riverwalk committee that met and saw the video for the first time, we were pausing and advancing and discussing certain features of the design for the west side. So it was actually live feedback, so to speak, on the design with Mike Court in attendance. But Cindy jumped in for the question and answer period at the end, but left the presenting of it to Mike and his team and myself. I don't know, Cindy, if you have more to talk about.
It was, when I put out the RFP, I mandated that they do a SketchUp drawing so we could use it for marketing and that kind of thing, but they did this video over and above what they would normally do. And they did it for the sole purpose of demonstrating that they could do this and what that tool could be used for. As a matter of fact, we met with the BL Branch Group owners like yesterday, and I mentioned that we had this video, and he wanted me to send him the video so he could use it for marketing to sell space in that building up there. So it's being used for that. We wanted to kind of not put it out in the public until we had a chance to talk to the donors and kind of show it to them first, but it will be out there at some point in time for the public to see too. So we have a while to go before we do construction, so they got time to look at it, but it's really cool. You've seen it, so.
It was well received. There were 30-ish engineers, public works directors in attendance who saw the presentation and certainly were engaged and asked good questions afterwards. But it was a nice way to highlight what's going on in West Bend. So thanks to Mike Court and his team for including us in that fine project. They were already scheming up ways to submit it to a national public works conference, and so if we're sending Cindy to Miami or something fun like that,
We'll carry your
yeah.
luggage.
that would be great.
You're carrying my luggage.
Stay tuned.
Can't hit me.
Yeah.
Miami or
to
the
be-
Dells, I don't know.
Happens to be in Wisconsin Dells this year.
November.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, we have a resolution authorizing a transfer of additional yard funds for payment expenses. You should have that in your packet. Entertain a motion to approve that transfer.
Move to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we have some donations.
I can start. It's my pleasure to announce a donation made by the West Bend Friends of Park and Rec in support of the design of the Library Basement Recreation Center build-out. The design was presented to us by Zimmerman Architect Studios, and the donation amount is $8,250. If you recall, we're splitting this expense with the library for the project
Nice.
on the design.
All right, I have a $150 donation here from the West Bend Disc Golf Club. Again, this money is set aside for future development of the disc golf course at Riverside Park. My second donation is a really exciting donation from the John and Barbara Wagner Charitable Foundation. John and his wife are former residents of West Bend. John was on the Park Commission for, Jim, how many years, decades? Many?
18 or 20.
Yeah. John was also a member of local service club, things like that. Him and his wife are definitely leaders of the West Bend community. So they donated actually $4,500 towards the development of the fishing deck area at Ridge Run Park. The first $1,000 goes to the Friends of Parks to pay for the bench, because that's how our memorial bench program works. The other $3,500 paid for all the materials for that project. All the work was done in-house with our staff, grading, stonework, concrete work, retaining walls, steel work, carpentry, whatever. So if you haven't seen it, it's awesome. I wouldn't even call it a fishing deck, I would call it more of a viewing deck. It's kind of a nice little destination, so turned out very well. Big thanks to John and his wife Barbara. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to accept those donations?
Motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. That's great. Reports, chairman, would that be me then?
Yeah.
I think this is our last meeting of the year, the way I understand, so I guess this is the opportunity to thank all the parks employees for their hard work and dedication throughout the year. We were kind of shorthanded, so everybody kind of picked up the slack and worked a little harder, and, you know, we as commissioners appreciate that, and I'm sure the community appreciates it too. And we couldn't have done it without with all the friends we have, the business partners, the service clubs, and the friends groups, the neighborhood groups. I mean, I could go on and on, but I would forget someone, so, so thank you for all those people, and, I guess with that, thanks everybody here and all your employees, pass that on, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving too, I guess.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Secretary, with that,
You can do them both if you want.
I'll just touch on, I went to that tree lighting, you were down there, Steve was down there. I think there was like 300 people down there downtown. It was 18 degrees out. I mean, I was real impressed that we had such a turnout, and it really looks nice. You know, people haven't driven through there, take a look at it at night. And with that, and Enchantment of the Park is lit up now, or they had a trial run the
They're
other
working
night.
on it, yep, this week.
And I'll be excited to see what they do on the bluff, the firefighter bluff too, so.
Sure,
It's gonna be a colorful Christmas, it looks like, in our parks. So,
very good.
that's all I got. Conservation Supervisor, Courtney?
Sure. Couple new partnerships, recently started some programs with Threshold. One in their Heartland location at a senior day center, and starting in January, I'll be in several of their classrooms at their Rolf's location over by Lac La Reine. Also, I have a meeting with the ADRC of Washington County in December about setting up a memory cafe, one day a month at the Conservancy. And we were chosen by Campbell Sport High School. They have a Main Street Philanthropy School program, and out of 5 organizations that they researched and had us there on a panel, they chose Lac La Reine as the organization that they are raising money for. And the students will be out next week with me on the property, and then in December, I'll be speaking at their class graduation and presented with a check for however much they raise. We have the upcoming Winter Luminary Walk on January 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. and 3 future snowshoeing dates in January 11th, January 20th, and then February 8th. And Mike and I continue to work kind of a plan with the goat area, the planting for the spring, where myself, the stewards, and some volunteers such as Girl Scouts were out with me on Sunday, cutting buckthorn for several hours, and we're getting it ready for planting this spring.
Snowshoeing, could people go out there and snowshoe on their own other dates too?
Yep, I have the 3 rec dates that you can sign up through the Park Rec book, but there also are going to be public open events. We brought up all the snowshoes yesterday, organized them, so that will be posted shortly, letting them know that there is a class you can take with me, but also they can come and check out those snowshoes on those dates.
Great. Any questions?
Just to add, I think that anybody has their own snowshoes, they can feel free to utilize the
I
trails.
have some, but I haven't used them
Anytime.
yet.
Yeah, anytime. If you're gonna walk on your tiptoes, you're good.
Yes, come out anytime and snowshoe, Jim.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anything on, Jackie's not here? Nothing on tourism or anything? No.
Maybe just a heads up about the winter warm-up and the January 25th date. Courtney already talked about that, but Jackie and her group is doing a great job. Her group is all the other groups within the city of West Bend, making that event bigger and better for this year. So stay tuned for that. But there's gonna be ice sculptures and the Fat Tire Bike Race and lots of cool stuff going on.
Nick, Recreation Supervisor?
Women's Volleyball League started November 5th. Matches are played every Tuesday and Thursday evening at the UW Milwaukee at Washington County Gymnasium. There's 20 teams in this year's league. They make up 3 separate divisions, but overall there's 20 teams. Dance program braked as of November 6th. For the holidays, winter break, they will resume their classes on January 21st. Programs that are ongoing at this moment through the winter is adult ballroom dance, women's health and fitness class, judo classes, of course, women's volleyball league, and then dance when it resumes. When skating is permittable, regular hours for the Wyman House will be, as they have been in the past few years, is Fridays 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then while the West Bend School District is on break, we'll staff it as much as we can, and staff is available from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that's kind of the, when they won't break to 23rd through January 1st, if there's weather permitting, if there's skatable ice. Otherwise, the Wyman House is on the weekends, but once again ice skating is permittable, the lights are 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. daily. So obviously they can go out there and skate anytime. Prepping and staffing is ongoing for upcoming programs such as winter swim lessons, which will start at the high school on January 4th. Our 3-on-3 basketball league will start up on Saturdays at Badger on January 4th as well. Library Rec Center update. Jay, Amy, and myself, we gave a presentation to the noon Kiwanis on Tuesday of this week. If you recall, we also gave a presentation to the early risers on October 31st. So both Kiwanis groups are considered in the project to support that project. Also on Tuesday, we met with Andy Farrell. He is a potential consultant for the project. Sticking with Tuesday, it was a very busy day Tuesday for the Rec Center project. Cindy and I attended the library board meeting to answer questions, give the 3D AutoCAD presentation, and that have been informed that they are deciding as a library board for the dollar amount that they're going to support at their December 17th meeting. Projected project timeline hasn't changed much as I reported last month. Start the bid process early July, award by the end of February, with construction taking place in the spring, summer months, and then hopefully it will be available fall, September of 2020.
Any questions? Thanks, Nick. Superintendent of Parks and Forestry, Mike?
Well, Mike, you kind of stole my report by saying thanks earlier. It's, with no December meeting, I wanted to ultimately say thanks to the commissioners for not only attending these meetings, but helping out at German Night and the Mud Run and every other event you folks help out with, and, you know, members of the service clubs and the Friends Group and things like that. I mean, a huge thank you to all of you, you know, and the ones who decided to skip tonight. We'll give them a half a day. So. I also wanted to say thanks also to staff, my coworkers that are sitting here tonight. It's been a pleasure to get to know Courtney. She's really done an outstanding job out at the Conservancy. Just kind of a clean slate. She's really taken the ball running with it. Cindy and her projects. Nick with the library, Carolyn and Karen, always just total professionals running our office, working with our customers, because every time the phone rings, you have no idea. They might be asking about a dance program, to Emerald Ash Borer, to a street tree, to something wrong in the park, to whatever. So they have many different hats that they get to wear in the office. And of course the Park and Forestry staff, the guys I work with every day. Huge thanks to them, their willingness to do just about anything and everything that's ever asked of them. So I think it's a good group between the commissioners and our staff, and what we get done on an annual basis. I actually think it's kind of impressive. So thank Thanks to everyone. That's my report, thank you. Just thank you. So, thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Project manager, anything else, Cindy?
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
You are welcome. We're also polite this evening, so thanks for having me.
Just a couple things. I told you last month that we were gonna be bidding out the Kiwanis shelter in December, but we're holding off till January, so it doesn't go over holidays. The tree surety project will be going out before we get together in January. Mike's crews are looking at all the planting sites, and then we'll go to council to get permission to bid early January and put that out with bids due back in February. Riverside tennis and basketball court project, I looked at them, the contractors are gonna need to see if there's cracks in that court before they decide what the price is gonna be, so we're gonna wait till spring for that. Same thing with the Eisenbahn State Trail, for the seal coating and the crack filling, they need to go down the trail and look at it, so we're gonna hold off till snow melts to do those projects. SEH submitted the plans for the Riverwalk to the DNR for permitting, or they will be very quickly, very soon, so we're getting going on that. They're like, we have to get the floodplain modeling it's done, but it has to be submitted for approval, so they are making progress on that stuff. Yeah, and they're making progress on the construction drawings too, which I submitted to the departments this last week for comments, so that's getting done. That's all I have.
I don't, the Kiwanis shelter, I don't recall, you said it was ordered, but it won't be delivered till the bidding, or?
It's at the Department of Development actually, they approved the site plan and the design and stuff at the last meeting we had in November, but I still haven't gotten the permit yet, so that has to be done. I submitted an application to We Energies for the transformer, so I've gotta get a cost for that. That's probably not gonna be back for another couple months. But yeah, once we get everything set up, then it'll be bid out for construction. Oh, one thing I
You mean
was
the
gonna
kit
say.
itself?
Yeah.
He's
Is that
asking
gonna be-
about the kit.
About the
Does
what?
that get delivered?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we have to, once we get the
So it's not that we have to store it until,
no, they will store it if we ask them to, but it usually takes like 10 weeks to get it delivered, once you actually say, yeah, this is what we want, but I'm waiting for the comments back from Department of Development if they need any additional comments or, anything else on the plan to finalize that, so, but they'll store it till we need it delivered, because the contractor who's gonna put it up is gonna have to offload it, we have to have him hired before we get it delivered, so, yeah, they'll wait. One thing I was gonna mention, you had asked about the playground, the request for proposals, I'm hoping to get that put together in the middle of December, get it to the playground group to look at, so we can edit it and get that out to bid sometime in January, and I know you wanted to listen in on any presentations, so I'll make sure that you're, invited to those once we get to that point. We probably won't happen till February though, so,
nothing else to do in February.
yeah, right?
Try with your snowshoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's it, any questions for Cindy? Thank you. And interim director, Jay.
I'll say thanks as well. Thanks to the commission for your efforts this year, including new members that have been brought on board. That's always good to see. Thanks to staff for including me. It's been a pleasure to work more closely with all of you. I've been able to support and be a part of the Parks Department as city administrator in the past, and obviously a little more closely and daily involved as the interim director. I want to share that the Cuss Field project continues to move forward. That project has been taking some time, but we've had success with the $150,000 grant. Knowing that that was to be scheduled, we actually scheduled a conference call for today, this very day. And Prudy Pick, Mike, our volunteer engineer, Kevin Parrish from Guam, was able to join me in a conference call with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation on the phone from Atlanta, and Craig Larson from the WBBA as well. So we got an update on the project. Looks like we'll know more regarding the MLB grant that we're really hanging on to decide whether and when to move forward with the project. If we receive the grant, It's a go. The rest of the funding is in place for phase one to construct the field. That grant, we should hear as early as the end of January in 2020. Chuck Brady did give us the potential news of April as well for 2020 that we might not hear until then. That didn't sit so hot with Prudy, and she let him know that her donors that she's been actively out there working with on a regular basis are becoming, less patient. So she encouraged him to try to influence that process as soon as possible, and she herself has some connections to the MLB Foundation, interestingly, so she's gonna work on those, and Prudy's a bulldog, and I say that in the kindest, gentlest, loving possible way, but she's really been an asset to this project, and I just wanted to give you a heads up on that's moving forward as well.
Question, then you alluded to, it was 1.5 before, when we're talking about the Riverwalk, are those two separate issues, or is it the same one?
I'm not sure what one
You,
point.
when we were talking about the
That Prudy was
Riverwalk,
helping with that.
you said Prudy Pickard and got 1.5, or 150,000.
150,000 for the Cuss Field. If I said Riverwalk, my apologies.
Yeah, you said Riverwalk.
Nope, Cussfield.
It was great, 300,000, fantastic. She's a super bulldog.
Yeah. No, it's the same funds.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Helps a lot. Okay, thank you.
I was hoping that you'd have an update or a timeline on the director of, park director?
Yeah, I should talk about, Mike Starl and I recently had a conversation regarding the interim role in the Parks Director process. We also talked about the December meeting at that time, and that's when the decision was made to cancel the December
Oh, we're
meeting.
not gonna have a meeting?
Not gonna have a meeting in December.
What? I'm not going to any of your
No,
Bloody Mary.
no.
I have to come to your house.
New guy comes in and
I know.
everything's shut down.
God almighty.
You should have hung on till the first.
I
I'm sure he'll make you a Bloody Mary if you really want.
know, but his wife will kick me out of the house
Probably.
if I have more than one.
Probably delivers.
Because she knows me too.
Glass never goes empty, it's the first one yet.
This is true.
Mike's suggestion was that we make the summer tour and party even more expansive, and maybe hang out a bit after the dinner and enjoy some drinks at that time. People aren't quite as busy.
As long as we keep in mind, that was also a time that we'd always invited a lot of our benefactors, so to speak, and our endorsers, people working our thing, we always invited them for this Christmas thing as a form of thank you also, so we want to make sure that we don't abandon that
Friends
practice.
Yep, we talked through that.
Yeah,
too.
the Friends Group and the Greater Rejuvenation and folks from Walk Around, what have you. the ones
Right.
that,
Yeah, we talked through all that, Jim. He suggested that maybe the summer party would be a better time.
So is that gonna be, because I see on the, there's a December meeting in 2020, is that just tentative, or are we gonna?
If we
always
need
be
it, I mean,
canceling
if there's business to be had that is required of the commission, absolutely we'll have a meeting.
So there is no update on a replacement for,
I have nothing specific timeline.
did I saw that the budget passed, did that pass with the Craig Hepner's wages in there, or without, or?
With it,
Oh, okay. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we'll adjourn the meeting. There's one.
I just wanted to point out again that I have a calendar of tentative dates for the 2020 meetings.
Mhm.
If anybody has a problem with them, let me know now. If there's a lot of people, a lot of initiatives that cannot for sure make any of those dates, let me know, and we'll move it up a week or move it back a week or something like that, so. It's proposed right now, so.
Sounds good. All right, is there a motion to adjourn then?
Don't need it.
You don't need it?
No
Well, then let's just adjourn.
you can just declare it.
We're adjourned.